They didn't believe in ghosts, but after tragedy struck, their home turned into a battlefield between the living and the dead. Dee Snider, frontman for heavy metal band of Twisted Sister, and his wife Suzette endured a series of terrifying events after the brutal murder of Suzette's brother Vinnie. Picture frames crashing, televisions flickering, toys springing to life, and even full-bodied apparitions walking their halls. This isn't a campfire story. This is the true haunting of the Snider family. In 2003, Suzette's brother, Vinnie Gargiulo, was murdered in cold blood. The loss left the Snider family reeling. Their grief was overwhelming. But soon, grief wasn't all they were living with. Their home became restless, disturbed. And what began as small, strange disturbances grew into something they could no longer explain away. It started with the walls themselves. Picture frames ripped free, shattering as they hit the floor. The television would snap on and off without warning, sometimes in eerie response to Suzette's cries for a sign. Even toys seemed alive, like the Barbie doll's car buried in the toy box, suddenly playing its tiny radio. Objects that had stood undisturbed for years fell over, as if shoved by invisible hands. These weren't one-time events. They happened again and again. Daily reminders that something else was in that house. One evening, the Snider family returned home from dinner. As they walked through the door, the sound of pounding drums thundered from upstairs. It was Dee's son, Shane's drum kit. Thinking his brother was fooling around, Shane shouted, "Cody, knock it off! Stop playing the drums!" But at that moment, Cody stepped out of the bathroom, walking up to his family. "It's not me." Stunned, Shane bolted upstairs to see for himself. The room was empty, no one near the kit. Yet the cymbals still swayed, shimmering from strikes made by unseen hands. As the disturbances escalated, Suzette went looking for answers. She bought a book on how spirits communicate with the living. One evening, she sat on her bed reading aloud while Dee paced the room. The book suggested that spirits often use electronics to send messages. It even advised, ask them directly to prove they're there. So Suzette called out, "Vinnie, if you're here, turn on the TV." And instantly, pop! The screen went black. No fade, no delay. Just an abrupt, shocking silence. Dee, who witnessed it firsthand, admitted that if Suzette had only told him about it later, he never would have believed her. But he saw it, and it was undeniable. Suzette wasn't as skeptical as her husband. Years earlier, she had seen her own mother's apparition, a moment she never forgot and slowly became more spiritual. So when frames crashed, when toys sparked to life, when drums pounded on their own, Suzette whispered what Dee refused to admit. "It's Vinnie. He's here." But as the haunting intensified, her grief took on another form: anger. Her brother had been murdered, and she wanted revenge. That rage weighed on her like a stone, and perhaps it fed the unrest in their home. Suzette was raised Catholic, and deep inside she carried a terrible fear that because her brother had lived a troubled life and died violently, his soul might be in hell. That thought haunted her almost as much as his death itself. In this storm of grief and rage, Dee sought help by contacting a renowned known psychic to help his wife manage her grief and anger. She finally received the message she had been aching to hear. Vinnie was not in hell. He was safe. He was with family. And he was at peace. But the truth of Vinnie's life made that message bittersweet. In his last years, he had been deeply troubled, struggling with his mental health and guilt from his past. He had tried to take his own life multiple times, even ending up in institutions after failed attempts. Dee recalled one Halloween when they raced into the city, only to see Vinnie being wheeled out by emergency crews after another attempt. His pain was relentless, and it wore on everyone who loved him. The psychic revealed something Suzette didn't want to face. Vinnie hadn't simply been murdered. He had orchestrated circumstances that ensured his own death. Like someone running at a policeman with a toy gun, he had set events in motion so that someone else would end his suffering. As heartbreaking as this was, The message from Vinnie's spirit was crystal clear. He kept repeating it over and over. Let it go. It's water under the bridge. It will all work out in the wash. I'm happy now. Just let it go. At first, Suzette resisted. She had believed for so long that her brother would have wanted her to fight for revenge, that he would have wanted her rage. But here he was, telling her the opposite, telling her to stop carrying his pain, telling her to free herself. Finally, she did. As hard as it was, she chose to honor his words. She let it go. Then came the night no one could deny. The family was together, watching television, when the atmosphere shifted. From the hallway, movement. And then they saw him, Vinnie, walking casually down the corridor, solid and unmistakable, before vanishing into nothing. Every member of the family saw it, at once, together. Not a shadow, not a trick of the mind. It was Vinnie, returning one last time. The Snider haunting wasn't just one moment, it was a siege. Daily chaos, picture frames falling off walls, television flickering, toys springing to life, drums pounding in an empty room, until finally the ghost of Vinnie himself appeared. For Dee, the skeptic, it shattered the walls of logic. For Suzette, it was both heartbreaking and healing, her brother's way of telling her to stop living in rage and to find peace. Thank you for joining us on this chilling journey to the Snider's haunting. If you've ever felt the presence of a lost loved one, share your story in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell to Mystic Podcast Cruise for more real stories of hauntings, prophecies, and mysteries beyond the veil. Because sometimes the dead don't stay silent.